I remember recently I was at the dollar store and this guy was following the worker around and it was like 8 o'clock at night. And she finally got to an aisle by herself and I was like, hey, are you good? Like, do you want me to hang out?
Taking a name, you coded the door and welcome to the game.
Welcome back to another episode of Dear Dilemma. We have a submission that Brooke is going to read for us.
Yes, and this one's a good one. And just want to specify, I said that right, before we start that when we read this, we don't, in our discussion after, we're not targeting men and we're not saying anything against men because we do know that there are good men out there and boys in the world, and obviously we have some in our lives as well. So let me just say that now. Like, don't think we're just hating on that gender.
But when we have specific submissions, anonymous ones at that come in, we're going to address whatever it is and we're going to read it and talk about it.
And this truly does happen too much in this day and age. So this says, why do men think that they can say whatever they want to a female without any repercussions? Also, if a female comes back at them, then all of a sudden she's a bitch or some derogatory name. Men truly can't handle women standing up for themselves. And that is so true in our day and age. And it has been true for years. And I think within the last, 15, 20, maybe a little bit more, women have really started to be vocal.
Yeah.
About things, whereas probably back in like Marilyn Monroe days, I
mean 50s, 60s,
you
70s.
couldn't say anything if a guy said some very nasty things to you while you were out or touched you or something. It would be like you just take it and
or even like workplace harassment. Probably like a lot of that wasn't valued or viewed as something that was actually happening, that the female could go and report it or anything. Now, I think that there, on the flip side, obviously this has to be acknowledged too, there are women that flip situations and make themselves the victims.
When they're not.
And so I don't feel like that's fair either. Like, I mean, we have to look at both sides, right? Like, we don't want to call just men out. And obviously this is referring to probably specific situations that this person's gone through where they've dealt with certain men that have done this to them. But
I'm trying to think of any times where, like, back in the college years where I've been out and had someone, like, you've been hit on and stuff, but I don't know if I've ever had a situation where I've had to, like, really put them in their place. Because, I mean, I've seen videos where girls are out to eat or whatever and they're recording themselves and one of the friends is getting hit on and she's like, no, I'm good. And then finally, and it's all on video, and then finally she's like, I said leave me alone. Like, leave me alone, and starts yelling because they won't get the hint. And then all of a sudden she's crazy and she's, oh, you're just a slut or you're this. And it's like you hurt their
ego.
You hurt that ego, and so they turn around and now they're the victim when they've been harassing you all night. Why do you do this, men? Why? Some of you men.
Yeah, I also feel like it's like rejection. Like, men have a hard... I mean, anybody, men and women, both have a hard time with rejection. But when they're really, like, fawning after somebody, and then it finally gets to that point where they're like,
or
no.
Alcohol is in play. That doesn't help it either.
Absolutely.
Or any other substances that might be around or they've taken that you don't know. So, men or women, if you do get rejected, don't then turn around and start going crazy on them, because, like, just be like, oh, okay, and leave. Like, especially if you're just out for the night and you only just met that person or you just started hitting on them. That's what's weird to me.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But it does seem like there are certain instances where men just keep going and going and going, especially if they're drunk and especially if alcohol is involved.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I've been in, like, a situation where it's not alcohol involved necessarily, but there was, like, some flirting, some interest, and the guy, like, cornered me and started kissing me, and I didn't, like, I wasn't actually, like, into it. Like, I kind of, like,
they weren't
I was into the flirting, but I literally, like, said, no, like, stop. And he had me cornered, and I just, like, I eventually, like, kind of, like, ducked out and got out of the way. But it was, like, I said no, you know?
And like, they don't get it.
Verbally said no.
They don't get it. I would have kneed him in the balls.
I thought about it.
Should have.
But it's like also, you know, that like the consent, like that's a big thing
Yeah,
too.
listen, you have ears. If you have ears and eyes to see that, yeah, maybe she or he's clearly wanting to get you to bed and you're all on the same page. And you have ears and eyes to hear and see when they are saying no and their vibes are obviously very standoffish.
Yeah.
You can tell, like, if you are cognitively aware, which I guess when alcohol's in play, sometimes
It's hard.
I'm not saying that's an excuse either, because it's not.
But then if the female is the one that's like, no, I'm done, like, leave me alone, get your hands off me, whatever, and fights for that, then, like you said, it flips. It's like, she was just such a whore, or she was a bitch, or whatever. Like, they kind of flip it on her, and then they talk crap about her to, like, friends, because they're just mad that they didn't want to, like, sleep with them, or they didn't want to kiss them, or whatever.
To find someone else that's clearly on your standard and on your level, because, like, it's so frustrating. I don't think it might have happened, and I probably just blocked it out.
Trauma.
Like, okay. No, actually, you know what? I will say that, like, back in the college days, the single days and stuff, like, we've gone to a club, and we've gone to, like, Oxford.
Oh, yeah.
And during the summertime, and I remember my friend and I, after the club, there were some, like, hockey player guys that were there for camp, and they're like, you want to come hang out? And we probably shouldn't have, but we were like, okay, this is going to go one of two ways, fine, or, like, we just got ourselves in a crappy situation. They were so nice. No one hit on you. No one tried to make any moves. We literally just played hockey in the dorm room of, like, in the halls, and then we left. And that is the kind of guys that, like, have the respect and clearly were raised correctly to be like, that's not how you treat women, especially after you're leaving the club and stuff. So, I mean, we were very lucky, because that could have turned into a not so good situation. And I was not smart then. I am smart now.
Oh, yeah.
And I would not do that again. And I should be lying in a ditch somewhere. I've always said that.
Oh, 100%. I mean,
but I'm sure our parents thought the same things with all the crazy stuff that they did.
I'm sure they did too. Yeah. I think it's funny though, because like what you said, I've had really bad experiences with this, like what the writer said. And then I've also had the experiences that you just talked about. Like, it was so funny. There was always like this one party house in college that we would all go to, and there would be tons of guys there, and they were like mostly football guys and stuff. But literally, it was such a bad part of the neighborhood that if you were walking out to your car, one of the football guys would be like, "Are you leaving? You have to have an escort." Like, they would walk out.
And they are typically the guys that get the bad rep.
Yes, they are. But they would, like, somebody would always be there to walk you out to your car and make sure that you got in okay, and then they would walk back to the house. But, like, I just thought that was so cool, because I'm like, way to show up. Like, way to be, like, a real man that's just, like, watching out for everybody's safety.
I did have one. We were at a party at Ball State, and I stepped down and I twisted my ankle because there was... I thought it was a step, and there wasn't. And then a guy was trying to hit on me, and I kept, like, clearly, I was like, leave me alone, I'm in pain. And a guy locally that went with us, he was like, hey, back off. And he was like, you good? And he, like, made sure, like, I was good all night.
Yeah.
Maybe because I was injured. I did have one. Now that I remembered.
Yeah. But it is like...
And I may have been roofied by somebody's bandmate one time at Brick Street. But it's fine. Everything, they're not fine. And I met Dan and Shay.
You did? Really? That's cool. I didn't know that.
But don't do that either. Don't roofie drinks.
Yeah.
Don't, like, when she says no, she says no. Men or women, you, like,
and don't turn it back on the other person. Same for women. Like, if you get rejected by a guy or whatever, they'll be like, oh, like, he just wasn't that into me or something. You know, I mean, they'll kind of, like, flip it back on him. It's
there's been women that are girls, I guess, like, especially in high school and college, where the guys rejected her, and then, like, he's seen at a party with, like, just friends, and maybe there's some girls in that friends group, and all of a sudden she's trying to, like, fight them, the one that was rejected, and you're like, dude, I've been friends with them for, like, 6 years.
Yeah.
Like, you're crazy. Yeah. Like, what's happening
You
here?
make yourself look worse by doing that.
So I think men and women should learn manners, respect, where to draw the line, where to rein it back in.
And be the gentleman or be the lady.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's so cool when people just show up and they're just, you know, raised right.
Yeah.
I guess.
Or, like, I remember recently I was at the dollar store, and this guy was following the worker around, and it was like 8:00 at night. And
So scary.
she finally got to an aisle by herself, and I was like, hey, are you good? Like, do you want me to hang out? And she was like, no, that's my friend. He just came to visit me. And I was like, oh, okay. She's like, but I'm so glad that, like, you're, you know,
aware of that.
Yeah, because you never know.
happens.
Like, even then, like, you're just out and someone says something, or like, what do they call it? Cat calling at the gas station. Like, I don't care about your beat up truck or your car. Like, I'm pumping gas. I'm going in and getting my Coke Icy. Shut up and leave me alone.
But there are like, there's women that really like catcall men too.
Have you seen the videos on TikTok of the two ladies that go around catcalling men? But it's jokes, like they're joking, they're not being serious,
No,
but
but
it's
it
so
sounds funny.
Oh, it's so funny, and then they laugh and then they leave. Like, it's not like legit, whereas men do it legitimately.
I think it sucks because like, there's not that many repercussions for people in certain situations, but I also think that it's becoming more of a thing. I think especially with like, it's been several years ago now, but like the Me Too movement, there's a lot of things that I think are bringing awareness to.
Get a taser.
To just making sure that there are repercussions, or like, I think people feel more comfortable maybe going to HR and being like, hey, this guy keeps touching me at work, or he keeps doing this and that, like you do. And it's almost like too much sometimes, I think, to where it's like, bro, I didn't mean that. Like, I just said you had a nice outfit, you know?
Yeah.
So I think just trying to take it with a grain of salt, and also realizing
we are adults. Keep your hands to yourself. Just because a woman's in front of you does not mean that you get to touch her butt or her boobs or whatever, and she's just,
or make comments about it.
yeah, like, ew, it's so gross. And same for women. You can't just be going up and grabbing men's butts. It's weird. It's weird for guys to do it to girls. I'm sorry, even if she has on a promiscuous outfit, that does not give you permission. She's not dressing for you, men. She's dressing for herself. Have you guys not heard about that?
Oh, yeah.
We don't dress for men. We dress for ourselves.
The amount of old women that hit on male doctors in the hospital is like hilarious, though.
Well, it's because old people have no filters. And that's also not an excuse. Sometimes it's funny, and sometimes it's like, you need to be in jail. You need to be in jail. So, to this person that wrote in,
sorry that happened to you.
yeah, sorry that happened to you. And I hope for sure that you are standing up to your whoever has done this, or hopefully it doesn't happen again. But if it does, stand up to them, put them in their place, and get a taser.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed this episode and maybe got something out of it. Maybe you could relate to some of it too. I mean, I think that we've all been through maybe similar situations. We hope that you guys stay safe when you're out. And if you do have something like this happening to you, stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
And don't worry about being called the B word or whatever it is. Like, just stand up for yourself, do what's right, and don't tolerate that kind of treatment if that's not something that you want to have in your life.
Yeah, if you don't feel comfortable to, if you're being followed at a store or anywhere and you're getting weird vibes, it's okay to ask someone to walk you to your car.
Yep, I've done that before, actually.
I would do that, or get on the phone with somebody. But if this has happened to you and you've dealt with it in a situation, it's turned out like in your favor, write it in or like comment, because we're interested to see like how other people have handled this situation that maybe isn't violent like I would be.
Anyways, we hope that you... Sorry.
I've never been in a fight, but I would be if they're being weird.
Like, comment, subscribe, and check us out on
Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Dear Dilemma Official, and wait for our episode on Thursday.